They were all now standing around the immobile doll that had not long ago been the beautiful Lady Idler. When she was but a heap of padded limbs, Ernon had sensed her power was completely gone and lowered his sunrod. The prized box they had fought so hard to obtain was now safely stored inside the black silk purse Gorith had provided for them, so their objective had been achieved. Despite their success, however, the three Crypt Cleaners were not feeling very cheerful. Ernon in particular was red-eyed, a tear still rolling gently down his cheek.
"Are you sure she's not broken, Ara? I don't mean to sound heartless, but I wouldn't want Lord Yosemel discovering what we've done here,"
asked Lismond, staring at the collapsed doll with worried eyes.
"She is not broken. You can see the glyphs are already starting to glow. Moonlight is starting to shape itself into the illusions that will form her. It is just a matter of time now."
Ernon breathed a gentle sigh at hearing that, his posture now looking a little less dejected.
"And you're sure she won't remember anything then?"
"I do not see how she would. I have spoken with her on numerous occasions, and every time it was as the first. She never remembered me. I am sure your master will know more about it, since he is the one that created her. My previous experience with her aside, I know as much as you do regarding this matter."
"Good. Still, I would prefer it if we left this place as soon as possible. I do not want her waking up while we're still here."
Lismond glanced to Ernon, who nodded solemnly in agreement, clearly wanting to put this experience behind him.
"Very well. I shall take you to a different sensorium then. Lord Yosemald asked me to keep you entertained until his matters with Gorith were finished, and it would arise too much suspicion if we only visited this one chamber in any case."
The mood of sorrow that hung in the air slowly became the impetus to leave. Before departing the room, however, Lismond made sure to recover his witchblade and the upper half of his broken sword. He did not want to be discovered because of a foolish slip-up, like leaving evidence of a battle behind. He lamented the loss of his old blade, as it had been with him since his brigand days, but he knew that this was not the time to mourn it, especially since he was still in possession of a powerful witchblade, a sword beyond compare and an invaluable aid in battle, as long as it stayed in his hands, that was. And so, with the door no longer blocked by Lady Idler's will, the Crypt Cleaners and their new accomplice left the beautiful moonlit garden. Ara took the three companions to a nearby sensorium that she thought would be a good place to recover and perhaps have a conversation. The illusion there portrayed a small clearing in the middle of a beautiful green forest, a warm day scene that contrasted with the previous nocturnal garden. A stream flowed through the centre, and the music of running water and the chirping of birds made them feel immediately welcomed and calm.
"I find it very hard to believe that this is an illusion. It just feels as real as if we were in the woods. I simply cannot tell the difference,"
commented Lismond upon entering the room. He looked around him, still in disbelief of the sheer realism of the scene. It was incredible how something they knew was not real could still elicit such genuine feelings and perceptions.
"I would not be able to recognize this place for an illusion either, if it was not for the fact that the sun we see up there, despite its light and warmth, grants me no magic,"
said Ernon, his voice still sounding sad and regretful, only to then add in whispers to Lismond,
"And I am completely out of sunlight, so please, let's try to stay out of trouble."
The thief leader smiled at that and placed a hand on the priest's shoulder. Then, looking at both him and Pepper, spoke.
"Friends, I could not wish for better companions. I'm proud of your actions back there. You, Pepper, those were some great moves, I have to say it. You caught her completely by surprise, and that roll! I didn't know you were a part-time acrobat. You wasted no time in getting out of her reach. Real quick thinking."
Pepper's downcast face lit up upon hearing those words, his chest swelling with pride.
"Thanks, boss. I just followed my instincts, my guts. You know how I am. She was there holding the box, all distracted. Classic mistake if you ask me. Noble types are always the easiest to steal from. They tend to forget you exist at all. I just had to take my chance. The situation was starting to get scary. Well, scarier. I just knew I had to take it, or else I..."
"And you, Ernon, We are all in your debt, really. You saved all our lives back there, and you know it. The Witchblade would have gotten me if it wasn't for your bravery, and you managed to dispel whatever powerful magic kept the Phantasm going. Allow me to remind you, my friend, this is not the first time you saved our skins in the last few days.
The priest let out a sad smile at his friend's words, but he said nothing.
Come on, Ernon. You know you had no other choice. You did what you had to do.
I know. It's just, I don't feel so good, Lismond. That poor woman. It'll pass. I just need some time.
I know, friend. You take your time. You will be fine, you'll see. Why don't we all sit here now by the stream and recover some of our strength for a bit? I think we have all earned it.
Ernon let himself collapse against the trunk of a tree, and looking at the flowing stream to his side, let out a deep sigh.
Nice place, isn't it? Got yourself a fancy sitting spot too. Mind if I join you, Ernon?
Yes, in fact, I do mind. I happen to find myself in a contemplative state, and the last thing I need is to listen to one of your circuitous perorations.
Circumptious peronations?
Circuitous perorations. You know what I mean. I'm referring to the unnecessarily long and convoluted nature of your ramblings, which are often devoid of any substance. Unnecessary long speeches that leave you waiting for a point that simply never arrives.
Ah, why not just say that then?
Responded the thief, as he sat right next to him, oblivious to the priest's rejection.
If I lowered my vocabulary to your level, since you are practically the lowest common denominator, I would soon find myself grunting and babbling like a half-witted bugbear. It is you who should be elevating his vocabulary, not I who should be sullying his own. Besides, it would certainly not hurt you to learn a few new words here and there. If you are going to torture us with your meandering verbiage regardless of our wishes, you could at least have the decency to work on your vocabulary and prose.
Well, that may be the case, but if you don't mind me pointing out, Ernon, I think you might have just gone on a little circumptious peronation of your own.
The priest responded only with a roll of his eyes and another deep sigh. At least his offended demeanour had now replaced his sorrowful one.
Anyways, I wanted to tell you, Ernon, I think there's something magical going on here in these woods. I mean, besides the fact that it's all an illusion, I noticed flowers started blooming the moment we entered, and they just keep blooming more and more. See over there? A minute ago it used to be plain grass, nothing more. Now you can barely see the green below the white and yellow flowers. Actually, this reminds me of my uncle's cottage in the mountains. You know, I used to live with him before moving to Solaria. Well, there was this pass I used to take the goats to. It was completely covered with flowers, just like this place now. The flower pass, I used to call it, had white flowers and yellow flowers, just like this clearing. It also had flowers of many other colours too. Never seen that many colours in one single place in my life, I have to admit. Well, maybe in the Great Market in Solaria. That place is pretty colourful too, if you ask me. There's...
Good son! I do have to admit, you have elevated your dysfunctional ramblings to a true art form, seamlessly jumping across your innumerable pointless stories, all weaved together for the sole purpose of giving you the chance to keep continuously talking. My only conclusion is you're afraid that if you kept your mouth shut for any length of time, your jaw would lock closed. And I'm here to tell you that life just isn't that kind.
As Ernon and Pepper entertained each other with their verbal exchanges, flowers were indeed blooming all over the place. Not only were they now carpeting most of the clearing, but even the trees that surrounded it were now heavily covered in them. Lismond, who had sat in a flat area near the stream, noticed this as well. So when his eyes met those of Ara, who was standing not too far from him, the woman, seeing the wonder in them, spoke.
This sensorium goes through a cycle of accelerated seasons. We are now in spring, hence the flowers. We can probably stay here until winter starts, then we'll probably have to leave and try a different one.
Ara, I did not mention it before, but I want to thank you for siding with us back there. You have my word I will speak to Gorith on how you helped us, and do everything in my power to get him to hear you.
I have waited here for 3 years already. I doubt Lord Yosemald would have ever listened to my plea. The way I see it, it was time for me to try a different approach, and Gorith the Wise, unlike Lord Yosemald, does seem to have a reputation for caring about our kind. Blue Bloods, I mean. Know, however, that, if you break your word, I will not keep your actions a secret.
My word is my bond, my lady. I will speak to Gorith as soon as I have the privacy to do so.
The thief leader then cleared his throat before adding,
If you don't mind me asking, is there anything more you could tell us about the box we took from Lady Idler? What was it that you called it?
A phylactery. All liches have them. They contain their souls and are usually considered to be their only weakness. You see, the only way to destroy a lich is to find and destroy its phylactery. I expect Gorith is planning to blackmail Yosemald with it, if not plain kill him, although I cannot think of any motives he could have to do the latter.
Lismond nodded in response, his eyes moving to a beautiful yellow flower that had just begun to blossom right in front of him. The illusion of life coming into this world, and another illusory life hanging in the balance. He pondered the fate of the lich, and what his master's motivations truly were. He and his friends would just have to wait and see.